Good afternoon. It is time for an edition of Kit's Commute. I know, I did one 2 years ago and then really haven't done anything again. And these days, my current assignment, I live about 10 minutes away from where I'm at, so I don't really have a commute to speak of. Either that, or I suppose I could do little 10-minute podcasts as I go here. Might be easier than trying to figure out an entire half-hour, 45-minute spiel to talk about, other than ranting and raving about politics as usual. But here's the deal. So I wanted to get into the idea of that a lot of people are saying that the furry fandom should just kind of go the virtual route for everything. Like, why not? It makes it easier for everybody to go. It costs less. Because, don't get me wrong, free virtual conventions are a nice thing, but there are still costs involved with it. And so some of us have been able to do free virtual cons. Most of us are not going to be able to, because there has to be something to pay for what's being done. But anyway, so, there's a lot of people that are like, well, virtual cons are less expensive, easier to go to, more people can attend. You build them up in VR chat or Second Life or whatever, and then you can kind of sort of simulate being there in person, things like that. And to which my reply on that is that, that's all fine and dandy. I view it more as this is something that could supplement real cons. But at some point, it's not really a furry con. As an organizer, first of all, we'll set it aside here, just kind of like Uncle Kage said in his opinion. As an organizer, the concept of virtual cons replacing furry cons is troublesome, because the less people that come to real cons, the less real cons are going to be able to happen, because if we don't get enough people, we can't pay for what we're doing. If we can't pay for what we're doing, then it stops happening. So I don't view virtual cons as a replacement for furry cons. Rather, I view them as an enhancement. My golden ideal since year one of Furthermore was to have a virtual ticket, basically. Kind of like, BlizzCon and some of the other big ones. The furthest we've gotten on that is to get main events streamed online. I really do still want to kind of create a virtual ticket, where somebody can go to, whether it's a web page online or whether it's in a virtual world, but they can go to a place where what's happening at the convention can be streamed to them to be able to view and participate. But that takes technology, and technology costs money, and we just really haven't been big enough to be able to do that. But it doesn't replace the things that a real furry con brings. You don't get to... you can meet people, but it's not the same. Especially when you consider that a lot of people in virtual environments behave differently than they would in real life. Now, whether that's they behave worse because they think there's not going to be any repercussions, or whether it's because they behave better because they can hide the flaws. There's a certain air of online and real world are two different things. And the reality is that they're not anymore. They were a long time ago, but they're not anymore. So you have that. The other aspect is we as a species, human beings, are physical creatures. They have proven repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly that we thrive in environments where we are socially stimulated. And and I know some of you are already going, ooh, socially stimulated, kid, get a room. But what I'm talking about is that we thrive in environments where we can be around each other, where we can touch each other, where we can hug, where we can shake hands, where we, whatever. We're not Vulcans where our entire existence we can just be like, live long and prosper, and then just go on with our day. We crave engagement on a physical level. And that's why physical FurryCons are not going to go away. It's just a matter of when can we start doing them again, and who's going to survive all of this to be able to put their events on. The bigger ones, MFF, Anthrocon, things like that, oh sure, I'm sure they have, a little stockpile of money. Smaller ones, especially the ones that are smaller than Furthermore, might not make it. They might not be able to hold out until they can have a physical con again. Because, believe it or not, when the con stops happening, that doesn't mean the expenses stop happening. We have a monthly fee that we have to pay to store the equipment we use. We have an annual fees for the insurance that we have to maintain. We have to pay for business registrations. There's all kinds of expenses that are still going to happen, even if we don't have a convention. So, thankfully, by year 8, Furthermore has been able to put a little bit away that we will hopefully make it through this and be able to put on another physical event, which I'm still hopeful for March, but we'll see how things are in a few months. But the physical cons are not going to go away unless our community decides that they are just not going to go to physical cons anymore. And if that happens, well, then hopefully not, but if that does happen, if our entire furry community goes, you know what, it's cheaper, easier, and faster for me to be a furry in a virtual environment than it is in real life, so we're all going to go there, then I guess that's the way the community goes. I just think that as a community, we will lose an aspect that not only brings a lot of people into our community, but helps to reaffirm that who they are as a person. It helps to basically go, there are people that care about me, and there are reasons why I'm valued, and there are reasons for me to be able to stick around another year rather than succumbing to my depression or what have you, because I'm looking forward to that interaction. I'm looking forward to being able to go and see these people that I met at a place where for 3 days it was the happiest place on the planet. And that's something that I think as a community we don't want to lose. I mean, yes, the furry fandom predominantly started online by people meeting in Usenet groups or whatever, and finally deciding to meet at a sci-fi convention or something. I forget which one it was. But ultimately, we are still we want to get together in person. So keep that in mind when you think about the future of furry conventions and whether they should be virtual or in person. I had to stop recording there since I got into an area where I need to pay closer attention and also do a lot of maneuvering to get into my parking spot here. So just going to wrap everything up by saying stay safe. Hang on. There we go. Stay safe. Wear your mask. And Black Lives Matter.